Have you ever wondered why some people seem to read your soul like an open book? Why are some people able to see through your masks and discover your deepest secrets? If you know a Cancerian, you've probably felt that uncomfortable feeling of being completely understood, even when you're trying to hide something. Cancerians have a natural gift that goes far beyond common intuition. They have a unique ability to perceive what is behind words, gestures, and even silences. It is as if they have an emotional radar that detects every change in your behavior, every hesitation in your voice, every glance you look away. What if I told you that there are 10 specific reasons that make Cancerians true detectives of human emotions? 10 characteristics that make it impossible to fool someone born under this sign? Stay until the end of this video because you will discover exactly what makes these people true experts in unraveling emotional mysteries. Who knows, you might recognize some of these situations in your own life. Reason 1. Cancerians are ruled by the moon. And this is not just an unimportant astrological detail. The moon rules emotions, deepest instincts, and the ability to feel what is not being said. Just as the moon influences the tides, it also influences the emotional sensitivity of these people in extraordinary ways. A Cancerian can pick up on the emotional waves around them like a natural antenna. When you're nervous, even if you try to hide it, they feel the tension in the air. When you're sad, no matter how hard you try to smile, they notice the melancholy in your eyes. It's as if they have access to a communication channel that goes beyond words. Imagine a simple situation. You come home after a hard day at work, but you don't want to worry anyone. You put on a normal face, talk about trivial things, and try to act like everything is fine. For most people, you would be able to keep up this facade. But a Cancer? They will immediately notice that something is wrong. It could be the way you close the door, the slightly different tone of your voice, or the way you avoid looking them directly in the eye. This lunar connection makes them true emotional barometers. They don't need detailed explanations to understand what you're going through. Their intuition works like an emotional GPS that guides them straight to the heart of the matter. Reason 2. Cancerians' emotional memory is simply impressive. They don't just remember the facts, but also how you felt at certain moments. While other people may forget an important conversation or a significant moment, Cancerians keep every emotional detail as a precious archive. This trait makes them able to identify patterns in your behavior that you don't even notice. They remember how you reacted in similar situations in the past, what your expressions were, what kind of excuses you used, how your body posture changed. It's as if they have an emotional database about every important person in their life. For example, if you fidget when you're hiding something, playing with your hair, or drumming your fingers, a Cancerian will associate these gestures with your nervousness. The next time you make the same movements, even if it's for a completely different reason, he'll already suspect that something isn't right. This emotional memory also helps them notice inconsistencies in your stories. If you tell one version of an event today and a slightly different version next week, they will notice. Not because they are naturally suspicious, but because their hearts hold the true emotions behind each story. The power of this emotional memory is that it creates a deep understanding of who you really are, not just who you want to appear to be. Reason 3. We have reached the third reason, and here I need to take an important break. If you are enjoying discovering these secrets about Cancerians, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any content about the fascinating world of astrology. And tell me in the comments, where are you watching this video from? I love knowing where our friends are spread across Brazil. Cancerians have a natural ability to create a safe environment for people to open up. They don't do this in a calculated or manipulative way, it just comes naturally. There's something about their personality that makes people feel comfortable sharing their most intimate secrets. Maybe it's the way they listen without judgment, with genuine patience. Or maybe it's the warm look in their eyes that shows understanding even before you finish speaking. The fact is, people simply feel safe in the presence of a Cancerian. This ability allows them to access information that others would never be able to obtain. Not because they are nosy, but because they naturally create a space where the truth can emerge without fear. It is as if they are a safe haven in the midst of life's emotional storms. Imagine that person at work who never talks about their personal life, who always maintains a professional and distant demeanor. With a Cancerian, that same person has probably shared their family concerns, their insecurities, and their deepest dreams. Not because the Cancerian was invasive, but because they created an environment where that person felt understood and accepted. This ability to open up to people gives Cancerians access to an impressive amount of information about human nature. They know the fears, hopes, contradictions, and truths of every person around them. Reason 4. The fourth reason has to do with Cancerians' incredible ability to read body language. They are masters at picking up on nonverbal cues that most people completely ignore. A slight frown, a barely noticeable change in posture, a smile that doesn't reach the eyes, nothing escapes a Cancerian's keen observation. They notice when you cross your arms defensively, when your shoulders sag in tension, when you avoid eye contact. These signals speak louder than any words, and Cancerians are fluent in the silent language of the human body. This ability comes from their deeply empathetic nature. They don't just observe, they feel along with you. When you're feeling uncomfortable, they pick up on that energy and start looking for physical signs that confirm their intuition. It's as if they have an emotional scanner that's constantly working. For example, you might be telling a funny story, laughing, and seeming completely at ease, but if you're internally worried about something, your body will betray that worry in subtle ways. Your gestures might become a little quicker, your breathing might become slightly shallower, or you might unconsciously touch your neck or face. A Cancer will notice these details. The most impressive thing is that they do this reading automatically, almost unconsciously. It's not something they decide to do, it's simply how their brain processes social information. This makes them capable of detecting lies, disguises, and pretenses with frightening accuracy. Reason 5. Cancerians have an energetic sensitivity that goes beyond the ordinary. They can feel the emotional vibrations of an environment before they even rationally understand what is happening. It is as if they have energetic sensors that capture the collective and individual emotions around them. When you walk into a room where there has been a recent argument, even if everything seems normal on the surface, a Cancer will sense the residual tension in the air. They can tell when something is off, emotionally, even if they can't quite explain what it is. This sensitivity extends to individual people. They can sense when someone is going through a difficult time, even if that person is trying their best to hide it. It is a perception that goes beyond the traditional five senses, a form of knowing that comes straight from the heart. In everyday life, this manifests itself in surprising ways. A Cancerian might call you at the very moment you need support, without consciously knowing that you're struggling. They might come home and immediately ask if everything is okay, even though you haven't given any obvious signs of trouble. This energetic ability makes it nearly impossible to keep emotional secrets around a Cancerian. They don't need to see or hear evidence, they simply sense that something is different. It's as if they have access to a network of emotional information that is invisible to most people. This sensitivity also makes them able to anticipate emotional changes before they fully manifest. They can sense that you are about to make an important decision, undergo a transformation, or face a challenge even before you are fully aware of it. Reason 6. The sixth reason why we should never underestimate a Cancerian is their extraordinary ability to quickly establish deep emotional connections. They have a natural gift for going beyond the surface of relationships and touching people's hearts in a genuine and authentic way. This ability isn't superficial or manipulative. Cancerians genuinely care about the people around them, and this genuine concern creates an emotional bridge that allows for a level of intimacy and understanding that's rarely found. They don't make connections just for social convenience, they seek to truly understand who you are. When a Cancerian talks to you, they're not just exchanging words or going through the motions. They're genuinely interested in understanding your perspective, your feelings, and your deepest motivations. This genuine attention makes people feel valued and understood in a way they rarely experience. For example, at a party where everyone is making small talk about work or the weather, Cancer is the one who will notice if you're feeling out of place or uncomfortable. They'll reach out and, without forcing it, create a space for a more meaningful conversation. Not because they have a specific agenda, but because they genuinely sense your need for a more real connection. This ability to connect also means they gain a deep understanding of human nature in general. Each genuine relationship they establish adds a new layer to their understanding of how people work, what their basic motivations are, how they react under pressure, what they truly value. The result is that they develop an emotional wisdom that makes them able to predict behavior, understand hidden motivations, and sense when someone is not being completely honest with themselves or others. Reason 7. Cancerians have an intuition that works like an early warning system for complex emotional situations. They can sense problems, tensions, or changes before they become obvious to others. It's as if they have access to information that hasn't yet fully manifested in reality. This intuition isn't based on logical thinking or rational analysis, but on a more subtle perception that picks up on signals that others can't see. They can sense that something is about to change in the dynamics of a relationship, that a person is hiding something important, or that a seemingly calm situation is about to get complicated. In the workplace, for example, a Cancerian can sense tensions between colleagues before any conflict becomes overt. They can sense that someone is unhappy with their job before that person makes a conscious decision about it. This ability makes them valuable observers of human dynamics. In their personal lives, this intuition manifests itself in even more dramatic ways. They can sense when a friend is going through a crisis, even if that friend hasn't shared anything specific. They can notice subtle changes in family members' behavior that indicate unspoken concerns. The interesting thing is that this intuition is usually confirmed over time. People around a Cancer are often surprised by the accuracy of their perceptions. "How did you know?" is a question they hear all the time, because their intuitions about emotional situations are rarely wrong. This intuitive ability also helps them navigate complex social situations, avoiding unnecessary conflict, and offering support at the right time to the right people. Reason 8. The 8th reason has to do with Cancer's impressive ability to process and integrate emotional information from multiple sources simultaneously. While most people can focus on one conversation or emotional situation at a time, Cancers naturally pick up and process the emotions of multiple people at once. At a family gathering, for example, while everyone is chatting about seemingly lighthearted topics, Cancerians are simultaneously noticing the tension between two cousins, their aunt's silent concern about financial matters, their grandparents' genuine joy at having everyone together, and their brother's anxiety about a career decision. They can map the emotional state of the entire group. This multiprocessing ability gives them a bird's-eye view of the emotional dynamics in any social situation. They not only perceive their own emotions and those of the person they are talking to directly, but they also pick up on the emotional waves of the entire environment. This makes them natural mediators because they understand all sides of a complex emotional situation. They can see how one person's emotions are affecting others, how unspoken dynamics are influencing the group, and where the tensions are that need attention. In the workplace, this ability makes them emotionally intelligent leaders. They can sense when team morale is low, identify unspoken concerns from colleagues, and anticipate relationship problems before they affect productivity. The result is that they often know more about what is really going on in any given situation than the people involved, because they can see the whole emotional picture while others are focused only on their own perspectives. Reason 9. Cancerians develop a mental library of human emotional patterns throughout their lives that enables them to recognize situations and behaviors with impressive accuracy. They are natural students of human psychology, not through books or theories, but through close observation and lived experience. Every relationship, every meaningful interaction, every emotional situation they witness adds valuable information to this mental library. They begin to recognize patterns: how people behave when they are afraid, what lies they tell when they are embarrassed, how they act when they are in love but trying to hide it. This accumulated experience makes them able to make connections that others can't see. When you act in a certain way, they can immediately recall similar situations they've seen before and anticipate what's likely to come next. It's as if they have an unwritten manual for human behavior. For example, if you start acting evasive about a certain topic, they may recognize this pattern as similar to the behavior of someone who is hiding something important. Not out of distrust, but out of experience. They have seen this emotional dance before and know what steps usually come next. This accumulated wisdom also helps them offer valuable advice because they can foresee the emotional consequences of certain choices. They know from observed experience how certain situations tend to develop and which are the critical points that deserve attention. The most impressive thing is that they make these connections almost automatically. Their minds naturally compare current situations with past experiences, creating a deep and intuitive understanding of what is really happening. Reason 10. The 10th and final reason why we should never underestimate a Cancerian is perhaps the most powerful of all. They have a unique ability to love and accept people in their entirety, including their contradictions, flaws, and secrets. This unconditional acceptance creates a space where the truth can emerge naturally. When a Cancerian discovers that you are hiding something, their first reaction is not one of judgment or condemnation, but of understanding and a desire to help. They understand that we all have our fears, our insecurities, our moments of weakness. This compassionate attitude eventually makes people feel safe to be authentic in their presence. It's a form of love that goes beyond appearances and social expectations. They can see the real person behind the masks we all wear, and yet they choose to love and accept that person. It's not a passive or naive acceptance, but a conscious choice to value the full humanity of each individual. This capacity for unconditional love also means that they rarely use the secrets they discover against people. They understand that knowing someone's secrets is a responsibility, not a weapon. This creates a cycle of trust where people feel even safer to be honest. Ultimately, this is perhaps Cancer's greatest strength. They not only see what you try to hide, but they continue to love you even after they see it. They understand that hiding aspects of ourselves is a natural human response to fear of rejection, and they offer a love that makes that fear unnecessary. Now you understand why we should never underestimate a Cancerian. They carry within themselves a unique combination of sensitivity, intuition, emotional wisdom, and unconditional love that makes them capable of seeing far beyond appearances. It's not that they are invasive or manipulative, quite the opposite. They simply have natural gifts that connect them deeply with the human essence. The next time you find yourself in the presence of a Cancerian, remember that you are in the presence of someone who probably understands a lot more about you than you realize. But also remember that with that understanding comes an acceptance and love that can be transformative. So I ask you, have you ever had the experience of feeling completely understood by a Cancerian? Have you ever noticed how they can see through your emotional defenses? Reflect on this and perhaps you will begin to value even more these special people who have the gift of seeing our deepest soul and still choose to stay by our side.